Glad to have you all here. Just based on the registration list, I think we've got several newbies. So who have we got here for the first time today? A lot. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that you find the session today informative and valuable, and that you're back again for future sessions. We've been running these sessions since June 2023. Covered a vast variety of topics. We've got a great library on the website, on the Empowered Speaker Series, Empowered Senior Speaker Series website. All but two of the previous sessions have been recorded, so you can find a good library of information there. For those lots of new people, I am Marion Goard. I'm a real estate broker here in Burlington. Apologize, this is in my face. And my work is primarily with older adults, later in life moves, estate sales. So I am a real estate agent. This is my sidekick here. I do help people buy, sell, lease real estate. So because I've been working primarily with older adults, I found that there was lots of gaps of information, lots of opportunity to provide education and information, and hence these sessions were created with that in mind. I'd just like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the educational partners. Many of them have been with us since June 2023 and helped to make these events possible. They are all caring, compassionate, and committed senior service providers. You can't go wrong if you have an opportunity or a need to work with any of them. And in an era where we have information at our fingertips on the internet, when you go there, particularly now with AI, you don't really know what to believe, what's been fabricated. But I can assure you that all of these individuals are someone that you can trust and rely on, and they let them introduce themselves. Start with Mala.
Perfect. Hi everyone, my name is Mala. I'm from Peachy Counseling and Family Support, which is just actually down the street in the Village Square. At our office, we have a large team of therapists that offer mental health counseling to folks of all ages, whether it's individually or for families. As mentioned, it's for mental health concerns, so we see all topics from stress and anxiety to even if you've had a diagnosis of some sort, and also just general life transitions as well. The services we offer are in person or online. The process starts with a free phone consultation, so you can chat with a therapist over the phone. Our services then range from about $100 to $170, depending on the therapist and the service you're looking for. And those can be covered under private insurance if you do have access to that. If you have any questions about our services or mental health in general, definitely come over and chat with me at the end of the session, and I'd be happy to chat more.
Thanks, Mama. Hi, my name is Kelly. This is my colleague Pam. You may have met my other colleague Jennifer at other sessions. We are with Compassionate Care Collaborators, which offers end-of-life doula support. So anything to do with end of life, from advanced care planning to sitting by the bedside to maid companioning to grief support. We do it all, and if we can't do it, we refer you to somebody who can, such as Peachy or some of the other educational partners here today. We've been asked to talk about our rates. So our average client pays around $60 an hour. We do have packages that lower that hourly rate depending on what services you need, how long you need us for. We also offer a sliding scale so that we're not cutting anybody out of the support that they need around end-of-life issues. So we have lots of information up here. Come on up and talk to us after the session. That'd be great. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Adrian, and I'm here with Lisa Carver, and we're with Chartwell Retirement Residences. And it's never too early for you to start learning about your options in retirement living. And I encourage you to come join us next week. We have an open house at all of our Chartwell homes here in Burlington. We've got Martha's Landing right downtown, and Chartwell Lakeshore further down on Lakeshore. And you can visit us on Friday next week, September 19th, and Saturday the 20th from 10 to 4. Just drop in and you can start discovering what retirement living is all about. We also have a great information session coming up at the end of the month with Dr. Laura Schutz. She is an ER physician who is going to be delivering a workshop on her application called Taking Care. And it's all about proactive planning for the unexpected. So we have that information up here about our open house and our Dr. Laura Schutz event. So please stop by and connect with Lisa and I. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Gila, and if AI were to replicate me, I'd like to be about 3 inches taller, so you know this is the real me. As I mentioned before, our practice is discretionary managed. I am a senior portfolio manager and financial advisor, but I'm also a certified patient navigator and dementia care provider. And what that means for me is that with our clients, I make sure that they understand the gaps in the long-term care system within healthcare. I help them navigate the system and make sure that they've actually planned financially for long-term care.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sunnix. I'm a funeral director with Smith's Funeral Home. We have 4 chapels that we serve, 2 here in Burlington, 1 in Stony Creek, and 1 in Grimsby. We are the only family-owned funeral home in Burlington, just to let you know. And my job is to help people plan ahead. So I sit down with you, go through all of your planning, your wishes, get it all in place, and then I also do our aftercare program, which is I sit with your executor after the fact, and I help them apply for Canada pension benefits, go through an executor list, and make sure they're on the right track as best I can. My particular service is to sit down with you ahead of time and get things organized is actually included with all of Smith's fees, so there's not an extra fee for that. But when we're talking about how much does a funeral cost, how much does a cremation cost, we actually have on our website what's called a quote builder. So you can pick your casket, you can pick your urn, you can pick your services, you can pick everything online, and it'll send you a little taxes included price, which is important. And so our most basic, just cremation only, and we actually include like a scattering with that, is about $4,000. So that's kind of our lowest price. And then depending on how much you want to do, if you want to do a party with wine and beer, it can just go on up from there. So there's lots of options that you can look on our website. Or like I said, you can sit down and chat with me at any time, and coffee is included. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Meredith. I'm a hearing instrument specialist with Hearing Well Matters, just up around the corner on Maple Avenue. I do everything to do with ears, from wax removal, hearing tests, fitting and adjusting hearing aids. The hearing tests at our clinic are completely complimentary. We take care of that for you, so it doesn't cost anything to come in and get your hearing tested. Some of the other services range, like the wax removal would be about $125 to get that wax all out of your ears, and then hearing devices themselves come in a very broad range. Low end is about $2,000, high end is about $7,000. So if you have any questions about hearing aids, your ears, tinnitus, anything like that, come on over and let me know.
Or you can watch last month's video replay. She did a great job. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jeanette Bach. I'm with Fluid Senior Transitions. I'm an elder care planner and help with transitions into their apartments or downsizing or into retirement living. I also assist in crisis situations. That's why I'm late. I was helping somebody on a crisis. And I help with planning. The most important thing these days, given the situation in our healthcare, long-term care, etc., we have to plan our aging journey. And so I've done a lot of that this year. It's been big, actually, where I help sit down with the seniors to sort of look at your short-term goals and your long-term goals, and we make a plan. And that helps you to sort of understand the landscape. It also helps your families to know that you have a plan if something should happen before you move or before you get to that next phase. So it's an important aspect, one I would encourage you to ask me about, and that's it. You?
And I'm Elizabeth. I'm a registered nurse and nurse lead with Bayshore Home Health here in Burlington. We provide home care services using what we call the neighborhood health teams model. So what that means is you have your PSW or your caregiver to help you with any and all tasks around the home, but you do also have access to your local nurse lead. That nurse oversees your care, will check in with you. You can call them at any time for any questions, health concerns. They can help you coordinate things with your family doctor. There's a variety of ways that nurse can support you as well. You also have access to our larger range of services. So we have occupational therapists, physiotherapists. We have expanded some of our services to offer lawn care, snow removal, just a variety of things to help support you in staying at home. And then in terms of rates, typically for our PSW caregiver rate, it's around $44 an hour. It includes that access to the nurse, but it does vary depending on what your care needs are, and we offer free consultations where a nurse would come out to your home, understand what you're looking for, what kind of support we can provide, how we can help you stay at home. And like I said, that is free, so you can give us a call at any time or come up to me if you have any questions related to home care at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's also a few others that are educational partners, and they were able to be with us today, just like Jeanette said. Crisis, I think probably with all of us, we all often face just these kind of last minute emergencies, sometimes crisis, hopefully not too many crisis points. But so we also have, not with us today is Jared Sia. He is with Burlington, Qualicare, Burlington and Oakville, also a home care company. Every home care company, every retirement home is the same but different, so it's important that you find the service provider that is meeting your needs and works best with you. Also not here today is Kim Rutledge. She's with Vistamere Retirement Home in Oakville. It's a small retirement community. I can't speak to their pricing or anything like that. Kim will be here a little bit later. She has a family commitment that she needed to get to. Again, not here is Irene Zilba. She's with a company called she's the owner of the company, 360 Downsizing. She helps people through the move. So Jeanette may be with the planning, my part is with the real estate, but she is actually kind of the doer in getting you from here to there. What else are we missing? Senior Care Access. Senior Care Access is an online resource actually, and they provide a vast amount of information in terms of senior service providers, senior housing, and they also teach people like me some of the factors that are important in working with seniors. So they have courses for real estate agents and working with seniors particularly, but also other senior service providers to learn sort of the intricacies in working with seniors, and we're grateful to have him. We're going to learn a little bit more about them later today in the presentation. Did I get everybody? Yep, perfect. So again, once again, thanks very much to all of you without you, and really do appreciate your support, and I hope that you have an opportunity to speak with them and learn more about what they do and what they can offer. Once again, just thanks to Ida and Lisa, always, they're here early helping us get set up. Lisa's in our panel today. Ida's always at the back door helping me with my registration list and such, and again, couldn't do it without you. Thanks so very much for your help. They always get the applause, I'm not sure why. But it's good about that. So today we have a full agenda. We're gonna get through all of this housekeeping as quickly as we can. I just wanted to remind you that in terms of the parking, it is on the honor system. If you are parked in that back lot and haven't paid them as you come in, please do on your way out. They ask for $3 for the afternoon. You can stay as long as you like. You have notepads and handouts on your chair. We will have a question and answer period at the end of this panel discussion, so note your questions there. We can make sure that we get around it and make sure that everybody gets all their questions answered. Please turn off or silent your cell phone so that we have as few disruptions as possible. You also on your chairs have an evaluation form, and it's important that you fill those out. We really do appreciate the feedback that you give us. It's used in planning the upcoming sessions. I think that's it for there. So in terms of why you're here today, so how many of you are either in the process of downsizing, thinking of downsizing, have downsized. Okay, so how about not the people who have downsized, thinking about downsizing? Okay, you're in the right place. So our format today is a little bit different. So instead of having a presentation, someone up here speaking and giving about a whole pile of information, I've assembled a panel of people who have downsized. So we're gonna learn from their experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll get some advice from them and hopefully go away so that you're better prepared on your journey. And it's clear with the number of people here and the show of hands that this is a topic of interest to many. So again, as I introduced at the beginning, my name is Marion Goard. I'm a real estate broker and I work primarily with older adults. Some of these folks up here are past clients, others not, so there's no fix here. Hopefully they will all give their honest and valid opinions. Oops. So, who do we have here on our panel? We have at the far end, Norm and Mary. So Norm and Mary, they sold, it's about 2 years ago now, sold their 4-bedroom, large, 2-story home in Burlington and moved to a condo townhouse here in Burlington. Beside them is Joan, you can just put up your hand. Joan and her husband Bills have moved to a retirement home in an assisted living setting. It was a fairly quick move. They used to live in a townhouse in Burlington, a condo townhouse. Beside her is Lauren, a resident currently at Chartwell Lakeshore, right? So, yes, and you lived previously in a condominium apartment. Beside her in the middle is Maxine Martineau. Maxine lived in a condo townhouse and has moved to a condo apartment. That's within the last year. We're at about a year. Beside Maxine are Josie and John Knell. They lived in a lot of different places. I lost track of how many it's been. They've told me many times. But they are currently renting. I just relocated to a new rental unit, and so we'll learn more about the rental industry, the rental market, and sort of why the changes. And then lastly, just over here to my left is Lisa Bilodeau. Lisa is in the process of renovating her own home to accommodate an aging parent with some health needs. And actually probably for Lisa's also goal to age in place. So welcome to you all, and thank you so much for being here with us. I can apologize that we don't have a stage, we don't have a platform. They are seated here. We'll do our best to get them to speak clearly into the microphone, but if you can't hear, please let us know so that we want everybody to be able to participate and to benefit from the conversation. So, in terms of what we're going to talk about today, we know that everyone's journey is different. So as much as they've all downsized, and they've all downsized fairly recently, things can be different for everybody. So we're going to talk about why they made the decisions, how long it took them for the process from start to finish, where they started, where they've ended up, who helped them along the way, and what was the outcome. Is it, are they happy with their choices, or is there another change in the future? We're going to talk about some of their challenges and surprises, the good, again, the good, the bad, and perhaps how some of those can be avoided. We'll ask them for some of advice that they have to offer if they were to do it again, and then we'll have some questions from the floor. All good? Okay, so we're going to start, and I'm going to pose some questions to our panelists, and I'll get any of you to, you need a microphone. I'm just going to say that I'm going to ask the question, and any of you who would like to jump in and reply, and I'm going to say for this first question, it's going to be normal because he's got the microphone. So, just to get us started, I'd like to know what was the main reason that you decided to move or downsize? And if you don't mind, if you're willing to share, was it about your lifestyle, finances, health, family, or was there something else that came into play?
Good afternoon. Well, I guess it wasn't me that decided to downsize. My wife wanted to. We have a large house, house, and she looked after a beautiful garden in the back, and it got too much for her. And, I don't know, I guess Mary can make another comment.
This actually, it's not uncommon that I find that there's always one, if it's a couple, there's one that's leading the charge, the other one comes along maybe reluctantly. They eventually do see the light of day. It's okay, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can stand. Yeah. Well, one of the reasons was a few falls that had happened in our house. Our house was very difficult to get into, and it was obvious to me we had to make a change. And it was after much pleading that I finally got him to decide that this was the right move. And now he'll tell you he's happier than ever.
Who wants to go next? Joan?
Short answer from me.
Put my hand, please.
My husband was hospitalized, and so we didn't have much choice to stay in our current home because it was a townhouse, and he was going to be in a wheelchair coming out. So we had to make a move, and we had to make it quickly.
So there's two different extremes here. One was proactive, or somewhat proactive, and then Joan's was a little bit more reactive.
My situation was that my husband passed away. I have macular degeneration, so I'm legally blind in one eye. I had that experience after having an injection, and I was blind. So it was a realization that I can't live alone. I have to do something. So I took it upon myself in December to go around to retirement homes. And I went to Martha's Landing, and I felt homey there. And so that's where I am today, and I'm liking it very, very much.
Good. Thank you.
My decision to move was actually my daughter's. In 3 months, I broke 3 major bones, and I was caregiver for my husband. And she decided that I shouldn't stay in the townhouse because of the stairs. So because of her, she found wonderful Marion, and they did most of the work because I was in the hospital for a month and rehab for 3 months. So that's my story. And I had a lot of wonderful people along the road to help me. I had Jeanette, and I had Tia, and they were just wonderful. So
We'll talk about all of those
yeah,
things.
I'm happy where I am now.
Good. Josie?
Well, our story is a little bit different. We've moved back and forth countries 4 times, mainly because of the kids. So our downsizing has kind of happened over a period of a few years, but again, it was more situationally driven. Moving back and forth countries. It's a long story. I don't need to go into it, but that was our process. Thank you.
So I'm coming from a little bit of a different perspective. Early days when Marion started this series, there was somebody who did a talk when we were back at the library about renovating your home to be able to age in place and make some rental opportunities or for someone else to come in. And I'm disabled and I'm at home, so we have a home that accommodates myself, but we were looking forward to the future and thought, oh, my mother-in-law probably would be wanting to live with us at some point. Could we adapt our house to create a suite for her? She would still, enjoy the rest of our house. And so we talked to her, so that was a few years ago, but planned it for 5 years ahead, in like 2027, when she would be ready and we could have the time to do the reno. And then suddenly this year, her health took a dramatic turn. And so we had to kind of rush a bit and change the plan and make the renovation happen this year. So we've had time to think about it and do some downsizing, but then it got a little bit more urgent. Thank you. You can keep the microphone.
So we're hearing that there's been health issues. Some people have been, but I'm probably more health than non-health. Nobody kind of did it by choice, or maybe learning it was somewhat by choice. You didn't want to stay where you were, and Mary and Norm sort of by choice, but out of concern for what lies ahead. Fair to say? Can you relate to that? Yes? Fearful of what lies ahead? Who's not? Okay. So we'll move on. In terms of the decision and the process and timing, so once you made the decision, how long did it take before you actually made the move? And was it rushed, or did it make a long process? We talked a little bit about that, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So what was the time frame versus your decision versus your move? And how did you know the time was right? And looking back, would you have done it sooner or later, or would you have held on? Did you act prematurely? So who's going to jump in?
As my wife said, ours was a more gradual move. Initially took a transfer to the U.S. Initially took a transfer to the U.S. Our children grew up largely in the U.S. So when we followed initially our daughter to South Carolina, and then they uprooted, moved to Oregon during COVID. And that was put us in a bad spot. So I guess to cut it short, we decided we'd move to Oregon to be with our grandkids, and we put our home up for sale. We were in an over 55 community in South Carolina, and the person that bought the house wanted pretty much everything in the house. So that made the move pretty easy. We packed up a pod and moved across the country, and so ours was that's the biggest downsize that we did was that particular move, and it was just circumstantial.
My daughter lives in Dunchurch, which is about 2 hours north of. My daughter lives in Dunchurch, and that's about 2 hours north of Perry Sound. So she came down at the end of August, and she found Marion, and within 3 months she had the house all set ready for sale, and it sold in December. So it was a very quick process, and that's how I ended up in my apartment. So it closed in January when I came out of rehab.
I was actually going to comment, just because I know Maxine and her story, what they were looking for initially is not where they ended up. And I think that might be true with many of you, many people that I work with, is what you have in mind and where you think you want to be is not necessarily where you end up. And the job, my job, or perhaps Jeanette's job, or the people that are helping you, is to not to open your eyes, but that's an inappropriate statement, but to make you aware of what your choices are, so that you make the best choice. And when we talk every month about planning ahead, that's why. It's because if you get into a crisis situation, and clearly some of you were in crisis situations, you're making decisions very quickly without having the knowledge of what's out there, what's available for you, where would I like it to be. So fortunately, circumstances for Maxine kind of just fell into place, and the property that was very much more suitable for her than what they had initially intended came to be, and that's where she is now, and I think it worked out well for her.
My daughter thought that she'd move back here with her husband and buy a place, and I would live with them. But we decided that wasn't a great idea after all. The only thing I wanted was to still be around my neighborhood, so I'm about a 10-minute drive from where I was living. So I still got all the familiar things around me, and I'm so close to my neighbors that I want to go and visit. So it's important to me.
Thanks. Rose? We'll just go down. Yep.
It took me a while to come to this, because when I was in business, I was in banking, and I always told my clients not to do anything drastic for a year after you have a death or something in the family. So I followed my own advice, and as I say, with my eye problems, I thought it's time to do something. So I took it upon myself to go to the nursing retirement homes in the area, because I had no idea what a retirement home was like. And as I said, I found Martha's Landing. And it 4 months. I had to sell my apartment, which was wonderful. I had a great sale. And Martha's Landing were very good to me. They held the apartment for 4 months until I could move in. And I have a group of wonderful friends who helped me the whole way. Because when I did get the sale that I really wanted, I had 15 days to move out. So I must say I'm very blessed. And thank you.
Joan, you talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but you can just expand a bit more on what the time frame was like and how quickly you made the change.
So because my husband was in the hospital for 10 weeks and wasn't going to be able to walk when we came out, it meant we couldn't go back from the hospital with him to the townhouse. So I had to move quickly. He was discharged from the hospital after 10 weeks. It was late January. So I had to put the house up for sale and get all the belongings moved out over a short period of time between the house being sold and empty. So it was pretty quick. So we ended up going into Bronte, Amica in Bronte, because that was the most likely place that could look after Bill's requirements for health and for my dietary needs. I have to say, not all retirement homes can deal with all diets, and that made it more difficult to select a place because we had to look after both Bill's care and my dietary needs, and it all happened very quickly.
So we talked before about retirement homes, and we've got representatives here that you can speak with later. But all retirement homes, again, they're all the same, but they're all different. And so they, I guess, cater to different needs, provide different services, have different amenities. So it's important if, a retirement home is something that you're thinking in the future is going to be a home for you. It's important then to, again, to do the legwork and figure out where it is that you may want that would be suitable for you, because all of them may not be able to accommodate your needs, or to allow you to live to stay till end of life. Probably more so now that more homes can accommodate that, but there's still not all that will.
My time frame was a little longer than most. I started, I would say, 2.5 years ago, at least, because don't forget I was dealing with somebody that was very resistant, so I needed to have a really good look. Our children were concerned about their father, so I was looking for something that would suit both our needs. I started investigating the townhouses that were available here in Burlington, and then the children started saying, well, Mom, do you think Dad will be able to handle it? We were looking specifically for a bungalow style, which most of you will realize there's very few in Burlington. I've been to them all. I think there's one area that I did not see. I investigated some of the retirement homes that had sort of townhouses attached to them, so that was a consideration that we looked at until we found our home that we're in now.
Good, thank you. And how did you know the timing was right? Like, how did you eventually convince our buddy Norm?
Well, I didn't drag him out till the sort of the end periodically, and then the kids worked on them.
One thing on our timing, like I said, we had a long plan and then suddenly changed. But we had a bit of an advantage that my mother-in-law could move in temporarily with her daughter while we were doing the renovation. So if you're thinking of moving in with a family member and they have to do a renovation, is like for accessibility. She's only there 4 months while we finish the rental, but we were really lucky to have that option, and that speeded up our downsizing and her downsizing. She had to downsize from her apartment in 3 weeks.
That, it's a tough, I feel for people who are making this type of change in short order, particularly when you've lived in your home for 30, 40, sometimes 50 years, and it's like surprise, or maybe it's not a surprise, but you've got to move, and you've got to move in short order. So the part through the transition, so later in life moves, is very much about the move, but it's about your life transition. So every one of these people here has had a major life transition that they're dealing with. And so it's the emotion that accompanies that, along with the upheaval of perhaps buying and selling or renting, but simply dealing with the real estate. And people say that moving is one of the hardest things that you'll do in your lifetime, aside, there's lots of things, but that's a very stressful stage of your life. And when you're doing it under stress or in short order, like, I give you all credit for what you've gone through, because it's not an easy ride. So again, back to the beginning, the planning piece, I think, is an important aspect to keep in mind. Okay, next question. So we've talked a little bit about how you got started, but it can, as I said, any move can be overwhelming, but even more so when you're older. Did you use a system, did you sort rooms by room? Did you donate stuff? Did you sell stuff? I guess we're kind of talking here about the stuff. Or what was your strategy? Did you keep it? Did you give it to families? How did you deal with, that's always the big question, what do I do with my stuff?
I'll start. So we had to downsize in a couple of ways by kind of going through our whole house to get rid of things we didn't need, to then empty out our basement so we could have this accommodation. I basically took it room by room, but even within the room, I would look at I picked the 2 rooms that I loved the most, my bedroom and my living room. And I thought about, why do I love them? I love them for comfort, for accessibility, and for joy. Like I had said before, I'm disabled, I'm at home, and I then, started my bedroom, and I just took one closet, and I emptied that closet out, and I divided things into what I definitely want to keep, what I definitely want to get rid of, what I'm unsure of, and what should go in another room. Because let's be clear, we all have stuff that goes astray in our house. So I started gathering things into piles that should go elsewhere, and not deciding in the moment that I had to deal with that item, because then I would get lost in another room. So I would just kind of focus on that, and I literally just took my time, because I have to budget my energy with my lupus, that I would just do it. One closet, one dresser, one cabinet, one space by the bed, and then move to the next room. And the things that went astray, I just took in a basket, like a laundry basket, into the room it's supposed to go into. And when I got to that room, then I would evaluate if I needed it or not. So I did have the luxury of having some time to do this, to take it that way. So it wasn't overwhelming to look at my whole floor, whole house, whole everything. And the things that I were most unsure about, I put in the garage. So I took it out of the space, I put it in the garage. A few things I brought back in, a lot of them I didn't. And then I would decide whether I would donate trash or give to family or give to charity.
So, you guys, you said you sold your house lock, stock, and barrel, so what did you come with? What did you have left?
Well, as I say, our story is a little more unusual. When we moved from Burlington, we were back in Burlington for 3 years, and then we moved down to South Carolina, and then we took 3 items, 3 furniture items. When we moved from South Carolina to Oregon, we took 2 items. This is furniture, of course, personal items. When we moved from Oregon back to Burlington, we had no furniture, 27 boxes that were shipped FedEx. So our process, I think that's part of it. When people have moved a lot, then they get into that editing, purging cycle a little easier, and I can certainly understand, you know, how difficult it is for people who've, you know, been in places for much longer. As far as the strategy, initially it was anything that sort of was related to the kids, we gave the kids back. And then, or sold, donated items, whatever. But it was always with the forethought of, okay, what is this next place? You know, what does it have, or how is it, you know, it was in a 3,000 square foot house, and in Oregon we were in a 600 square foot ADU. But so what makes sense? That was kind of our, what makes sense, what's realistic. As far as one of our biggest challenges was documents and files and cards and keepsakes and all that kind of thing, but just pictures and boxes, which of course, and again, bear in mind, these moves are very costly when you're going from one side of the country to the other, or country to country. So it's in our best interest to minimize that volume. So we did, John did a lot of scanning. So we bought a scanner, a very good scanner, scanned all the important documents, cards, keepsakes, clippings, whatever that we needed, and that really condensed a lot of stuff because we have a lot of, you know, a lot of paperwork type things. So, and just sorted on a hard drive, and now we have all that there if we ever need to refer back to it. So that was our strategy.
In my case, my daughter was the one that decided what I should keep and what I shouldn't. And a younger generation is, they don't think things you value, they don't value. So we decided she would choose what she wanted. In terms of the furniture, well, my basement was wrecked, it was flooded, so she had to get the basement repaired before we could put the house up for sale. And I only took with me, can you hear me? No, I took with me 2 beds, my dining room set, and my china cabinet, and that was basically what I took with me. The rest of the stuff we gave to neighbors. It was great. We had free garage sales because we weren't allowed to have garage sales in our complex. So she would just alert the neighbors, this is things I'm putting out, and they were more than happy to take it. And as it turns out, a friend of ours, he kept things in his basement that she thought I might like to keep. And some of it came back and some of it didn't. And the rest went to Goodwill. And to be truthful, I've only missed a couple of things, so you did a great job.
Well, mine was a little more difficult. I moved from 6 rooms to 2, and full, you know, dining room set and everything. It's hard to get rid of things because nobody wants them. You can't sell them. And so my church was having a rummage sale, so I rented a unit, and things that I couldn't take with me and that the kids didn't want, I put in the unit until the rummage sale, and then it all went to the rummage sale, and hopefully they made some money off it. So that's my story.
We've got a lot of do-it-yourselfers here.
What did we do? Didn't have a lot of time to choose because I wasn't really sure right away where I was going to move to. We were still looking. I and my daughter was still looking to see where we could go to. And when we found out that we were going to move into the Bronte Amica, we had an idea of the size of the space we had. So from then on, I could then look and see what furniture I could take with me, going from full house to, you know, a 1-bedroom. My daughter was a great help again with all of that. So basically, I went to Downsizing Company, and that was through Marion's help because you had a partner who was in downsizing, and she just pretty well took over for us and helped us decide. So mostly with my daughter and myself, it was really getting down to the clothing and personal stuff, what we would take, because the downsizing organization was going to look after the furniture and pictures and things like that. So some things, good quality things, my daughter took a few things, but like, you know, the younger generation have different ideas on what they like, so they didn't want China and stuff like that. Anyway, she took some things. I have a son in Calgary, and so he's too far away, and so he couldn't take anything. We just put a box together, me and my daughter, for some personal things we thought he might like. He can get them later on. Doesn't have them yet. So really, I would advise, you know, if you need help, go to a downsizing organization. They're wonderful. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so the process that Joan and Bill went through is, Eileen, who's one of our educational partners, she hosted an auction, an online auction. So she comes into the home, collates items, puts them up on, works with a company called Maxol, puts it all up online. People bid on these items, and then on a particular day, at the end of the auction, whether it's up for a week or two, the people have bid on the items, and they come to the house and collect the things that they've bid on and won successfully. So and I was there the day that the people came to take the things away, and in one day, that house was emptied. And there's, in terms of, are you making any money on it? No, maybe some, but you're not going through the legwork of having to do this all yourself. And in their situation, sure, go ahead.
You bring up a good point. She did all of what you've described, and the actual amount that she managed to secure on all of the belongings, it paid for all of the services, which included, by the way, moving all of my things from the house and placing them into the new suite in Amica. And when I went into the room, it was all there.
It was all there.
So it's all paid for itself. We got $30 back in the bank after she had finished it.
I can tell you one thing, getting rid of junk pays. Well, in my situation, I have a hobby in electronics, and I have a whole basement full of stuff. I go back to the time, it took me a month to finally accept the fact that Mary said, we're moving. And I said, well, I guess it's good, because we had a large yard. But I had over 100 boxes, banker's boxes, moving boxes full of stuff. And that's just my stuff, they're by the house. And anyway, we got rid of stuff, typically, Amity, I was volunteer at Habitat, so they took all my stuff. And we just fully got rid of it, and I gave a lot of it away. I sold some stuff, but you know, I just think it's like I said, and as everybody agrees, the kids don't really want what we've got. You know, I even find that in the electronics field, the stuff that I've cherished from 20, 30 years ago, the new generation don't know what it is and don't know how to use it. So I'm just throwing it away. So other than that, that's what it
Sorry to take over for a second. I just wanted to add one more element to this wonderful conversation. If someone passes away in long-term care, your executor has 12 hours to empty your room. 12 hours. So the amount of executors we have pull up to the funeral home with their car stuffed with clothing and boxes, because that's the scenario that they're in. So not to like put a big damper on this, but these people are in helping you out to know that is a reality that happens. And then retirement homes, they're given a month to try to get everything out so that they don't have to pay for the second month of no one living there. So again, that's 4 weeks that they're not only planning the funeral with us and everything they have to do with us, but they're also emptying out your room. So sorry to add to that, but
thanks for sharing that, actually. And that happened to me personally when my father died. He was in a retirement home. My mom had already passed away. My dad was there. So we still had it was a one bedroom, fairly large suite. And then he ended up going to hospice. So when we got in hospice, I think he was there 10 or 11 days before he passed, so we had to get that emptied out before the end of the day. But there wasn't a whole lot of stuff there because what could he possibly need in the hospice? But we then still had to deal with the retirement home residents and empty that. So as you said, as you're grieving and you're trying to plan a funeral, you're trying to do all of this stuff, you've also got to deal with what's left behind.
Can a downsizer help with the executor of the estate who shows up to get that? Can a downsizer help with that?
Yes. Yeah, anybody, yeah.
Okay, that's great, because that's good to know too. I wouldn't have ever thought of that aspect. And when you're in crisis, to be able to call a trusted partner for that.
Exactly, and that's why I've often said that with the people that we have here, we may not be everybody that you need, but between us all, we all have contacts to be able to solve a problem. So, again, first line of defense here. Thanks. Okay, support. Tell us a bit about who helped you. And many of you have shared this, but who helped you the most and with that process? Was it family, friends, or did you rely on professionals? And which one was the most valuable?
Okay. Amid all this, amid having a flood, being a caretaker for my husband, there's still my husband to consider, and he needed to get into long-term care. And luckily, I had put him into a temporary home my daughter found. It was the only one we could find, and it ended up costing me thousands of dollars. And so, because we met Marion gave us Jeanette's name, and Jeanette stepped into the picture, and without her, I would never have got him into the place he's in now. She was just wonderful. She led me through all the steps. We had some difficulty with the expensive home, and we put him in the hospital, and the social worker actually came and said to me, when I said I had nowhere to send him, they said, well, we can always send him to an old man's shelter, which really, so I was on the phone to Jeanette within minutes, and she was there very fast, and she got him into the hospital that day, and he ended up staying in the hospital for 2 weeks. And after that, she helped me find a place for him, and then he went into crisis. We had to get him into more help, and again, Jeanette was there and helped with the whole process, and I can't thank her enough for everything she did for me. But she was also a wonderful emotional support for me, and let me sound off, because I was not only losing my home, I was losing my life with my husband, and it was just a really rough time. And thanks to Marion, I wouldn't have been able to get this help. And also, I've got to thank Thea at the back, because when Ida, I always call her Thea, I don't know why. So it's in my head. And Ida there, she was there when I moved into my apartment. She went in there and she put everything away for me. So when I moved in, it was ready to live in, because I went right from rehab right to my new home. So without the help of these wonderful people, I don't think I would have got through all I was going through at the time. So thanks to them very much.
Maxine didn't say it, but she said it earlier, but she was also in rehab and not able to get around or walk. She wasn't allowed to wait there on her leg. So you can imagine, again, this is when crisis strikes. And this is how I'm sure it can get worse than that, but that was pretty extreme, where one is in the hospital, the other one is in hospital and being tossed around by the medical system, and then you can't go home. So, what do you do, and how do you manage when you're on your own? So hopefully your story is not quite.
My story is quite nice, actually. My husband and I belong to a group of 5 couples, and mostly from our church, which is fine. And when he passed away, and when I had to make a move, one of the couples are organizers. So I just called Mike and said, this is what's happening. I have to move, and I have to get rid of all this stuff. He said, leave it with me. He organized the men and the women, and they were like bees. They came into my house, and everything was packed up, and I said, just pack up everything. I don't care what it is, pack it up. I can only take 2 rooms with me, and not that much, really. And so everything was done. It was put in the storage unit, and that's the last I saw
And do you miss it? Do you miss those things?
I'm sorry?
Do you miss any of those things?
No. People come to visit and I say, do not bring anything with you. I don't have room.
So, who helped me the most during the move was my daughter and the downsizing. Sorry, it was my daughter and the downsizing company. Between the two of them, we managed everything.
In short order.
No different than most. Family really helped, and my husband's basement, his friends were amazing, and then just hiring movers for the heavy stuff. That was our answer.
For me, while I did the downsizing items mostly myself, the help that I got was to help plan for that. So Garth Brown, last name Brown, he was the one that was the speaker here that I was talking about, that was talking about making units to age in place or to have rental stuff. He got us connected to the contractor we're using, so he gave us some great references, and we have a wonderful contractor. And Marion was especially helpful too. She came into my home to assess my home, and she made fantastic suggestions for things that we could do to make this space work for my husband, myself, and my mother-in-law. And those suggestions led to me thinking differently about the items that I had in my house and what we could use in a different way, what I thought we might use but really aren't necessary. So those pre-planning things actually made quite a difference into getting to the downsizing.
No, thanks. Actually, Lisa, you shared with me too about some of the guidance you needed to give the contractor in terms of accessibility.
Yes, actually, from being here all the time and getting so much information, in which I take notes all the time, yeah, I had really significant conversations with the contractor about visual contrast items, some texture for things, because my mother-in-law is having some vision issues. But I, again, need accessibility myself. So there was lots of really great conversations there. I also learned about grants and rebates and different things from also various conversations. And so we factored that into our conversations, and then they've asked me, can I give them more information for some of their clients? So again, the information here keeps sharing it beyond in many ways.
Oh, great, thank you for sharing that. Okay, moving on, we're almost at the point where we're gonna let you ask some questions. So, life after the move. Now that you've settled into your new home, how do you feel about the move? What's something you enjoy most about your new home or lifestyle? And has it changed anything in your routines or your sense of freedom? Who's gonna go?
No, we're very happy with our space now. As I say, we've lived in a wide variety of homes and sizes and so forth. We are downtown, which was important to us, and we thoroughly enjoy that part. And even though we decided to rent and not buy, we're happy with where we are. We have, enough latitude to change the things we, didn't quite suit our taste or whatever. So all in all, it's been very good for us.
I changed my mind. Josie mentioned that when we made a move from here to South Carolina and then to Oregon, we took 1 or 2 pieces of furniture and that was it. What Josie didn't say, Josie has a gift. And she can go into a space and see, the pieces that make sense. So where we are now, it's furnished beautifully, quite happy. But I didn't want anybody to think that we're living in a box because we left everything behind. Not true.
I kept myself busy. I decided that when I moved in that I wanted an apartment, sort of like my house. So I've already renovated both the bathrooms in it already. And now I'm making plans to renovate my kitchen. I'm very happy there. My 2 cats are really happy there. And I
Good to hear.
I love my 2 rooms, and the best thing about it is I don't have to shop, I don't have to cook, and I don't have to clean up afterwards.
I share that. I totally agree. That's the best thing about these places. It took me a full 4 months to get over it. And I don't have anything else to say.
But for both, like, it was a tough, I can speak for Joan and Maxine, they were tough transitions. And I'm glad to see that you're happy now.
Life in a retirement home is very different from living in your own home. Very different. And it does take a bit of a while to adjust to that. I'm still adjusting.
What can I say? I guess looking for so long, I feel I found the perfect place. It suits us. The complex that we happen to be in is very active, so we're quite happy with our decision and choice.
Good to hear. What's next? Surprises. Any expected challenges or pleasant surprises along the way? Who's got the mic?
I do. No real surprises. I just felt liberating. Yeah, no, just adjustment, because we hadn't moved for close to 40 years. So it was a big transition, but no real surprises for us.
I'd say there were many challenges in our situation, mostly because we moved from Burlington into Oakville. So utilities and things like that, we all had to go through all the processes of managing that and making changes, even the telephone system. So yeah, I would say there were a lot of challenges and surprises, and a bit difficult to manage to get through them. Let me see what I got. No, I think that's all I can say.
My big surprise, my big surprise was the day after I moved in, the fire alarm went off. And it wouldn't stop. And my daughter was with me, and she kept saying, well, don't go in the hall, don't go around, whatever you do, don't go in the hall. But then, the next surprise was, great, the firemen came. And we were all quite happy about that. You know, we might be old, but we're not dead.
My surprise was just not being able to run out the front door and jump into my car, and having to take the elevator and going around parking. And the other thing that I really missed was my garden, because I was a gardener. So what I did as soon as spring came, I had a really good friend who helped me out, a gentleman that helped me out with a lot of things. So I had him take me to the nursery, and I just filled my balcony with plants. So I've got my little garden on my balcony, so that makes me feel more at home where I am now. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think one of my surprising challenge, I guess, as Mary used the word liberating, I would choose that word also. Living more simply than maybe I would have thought. You know, I don't need all this stuff. It's just stuff, and I can get by quite easily and with a lot less than what I thought of like 20 years ago, kind of thing. So that's certainly been good. And it's, yes, it's difficult to start over, especially from, you know, not having any furniture, then, you know, buying it all again. But it's also very satisfying when I'm in a space and I say, okay, this is this environment, this is what it needs to function, and sort of, having moved several times, I know that process pretty well. So that is also very satisfying. The country-to-country moves or cross-country moves, yeah, they are no doubt very challenging, but that's just unique to our situation. But overall, it's a process, but it's turned out very well.
One of the things that I found going through our stuff was actually really significant moments of joy and a lot of emotions. Both of my parents have passed, one when I was a child and one about 10 years ago. And I have things from them, like, you know, handwritten notes and the photos and all that stuff. And so it was a bit cathartic actually going through it because I had time. It was quite lovely to smile and cry at some of this stuff and know what to keep and think about what my niece and nephew might want in the future. So that was a real, actually big moment of joy. The thing that surprised me was some of the stuff my husband wanted to keep. And equally, he was surprised with some of the stuff I wanted to keep. So that was definitely a surprise. We worked through it. We got, you know, rid of a lot of that. But yeah, that was a surprise.
I can relate to that, Lisa. When we moved, my husband had a train set from when he was a boy. There was no room in our house. It's been in a storage unit for 10 years now. And last summer the place flooded, and it was all rusted. It's gone in the garbage. But all along, it's like, what do you need this for? Wait, oh, it's mine. I want it, right? And now it's gone. Garbage. Done. Okay, we're going to leave the advice question because we're running out of time. So I'm going to just turn it over to the questions here. So just, I guess, some things for you to think about. What's the biggest challenge you imagine you're having faced when it comes to downsizing? Would it be letting go of the things or finding the right place? Would you prefer a smaller home or something, or one floor living, or would you even consider a rental unit? And if you've already downsized, what was one thing that's helped you? And what do you think would be the hardest thing for you to part with? So those are some things that I'm going to turn back to you, but at this point we're going to open the floor up, and our panel is going to be willing, I'm sure, to answer some questions if you've got. Okay.
There's only two.
Only 2 mics, sorry.
Okay.
I've got one. Oh, okay, hang on, so, yeah.
Towards a couple that is renting, that cross-country movers, did you rent a furnished rental, or seeing as you left a lot of furniture behind, which we've done ourselves? Did you find a furnished rental? Was that easy to find, or is it something you furnished yourself? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. No, we did not use a furnished rental. We just, again, started over. As I mentioned, the moves are prohibitively expensive for that distance, so it was fine. It was challenging, as I stated earlier, but you know, it works, and it turned out very well, actually.
Who else got a question? Oh, Neela. Sorry, I don't know if you can volunteer me.
When you guys were purging and downsizing to make your next move, did any of you come across something that you had thought was lost?
Like your marriage certificate.
No, we didn't. However, as I said earlier, it made us realize how important these documents are, and to obviously, you know, they're your life, right? So by scanning them all, that really helped a lot to maintain the integrity of that and know that, okay, I got our ducks in a row here. And one of Marion's excellent programs that we were at, the 30 documents one, and we followed that through to a T, and that was very helpful too, knowing that we had all those documents in place.
I bet you they found a lot of people. Did you find stuff that you forgot about? Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, one second. Get back.
It's just a matter of you discover something that you had thought you had lost. And I was going through a whole pile of papers, and I'm finding lots of things that were lost.
to the couple on the end, the couple that had the big garden, so we're fortunate, we retired younger than most people, and we've already done the big downsize, but we downsized to a smaller house with a very large garden, and I'm ready to downsize again, but I'm wondering how hard was it for you to give up the garden? Like, because I think I'll struggle with that the most.
I didn't have to give up a garden. There is a much smaller garden now. If I have need for a garden, RBG is fabulous to go. And I don't have to pull any weeds. But I do have, the previous owners had a professional garden put in. It was such a surprise. We moved in November, and oh, the joy I felt come June, July. Yeah. Gardeners need a garden, like Maxine has said.
Anybody else?
Did you find that your personal financial planners were helpful in your move or not?
Yes.
Yes, but with a little bit of stress added.
Only from her, I had no stress.
I went to the bank that I worked in for many years, and knowing the people, I had great confidence in them, and they have done very well for me.
You said quickly, Joan, yes. What did your financial planner do for you during the move? Like, why was it easy? What worked?
I don't know if I can really answer that. My daughter took charge mostly of the financial side. I wasn't in much fit state to do it, but we were very comfortable with the discussions we had with the bank and the financial planners, and they gave us good advice.
I would just add that I do actually work with financial advisors, people's financial advisors, when they are moving, somebody's moving into retirement living, because we want to look at the budget. What is the amount of money that you have in total, and want to make sure that we don't overextend you so that you run out of money. And so that's why I suggest that you do work with a financial planner to sort of run the numbers and give you something, come back to you and sort of give you what's the max that you can spend, and so that you're more confident that the money will last 10, 15, 20 years. So I do suggest if you have a financial advisor, work with them before you commit to a retirement living. And get Neela to follow up.
Everyone, just adding to what Jeanette had mentioned, pre any move, and this is something you should be doing within your own household now. If you go to SRES website, which right now is not the most efficient site, you can already see what your CPP is going to be, what your OAS. So right there you have a level amount of pension that you know you have to work with. So when you're doing the budget, it would be taking a look at what is the next move and what is the cost, and making sure that you're looking at, okay, within your house right now, your budget is X for insurance, home maintenance, all of those things. When that's removed from the equation, does that free up money for you towards the next move as well?
Just a quick question. I wanted to know what or where would you find the list of those documents that you need to make sure to have copies of?
Actually, on my table at the back there's a document that's called 30 documents you need before you die, and there's a list of them, and then at the bottom of the page, there's web addresses and that, if you'll have to type those in, but it'll take you to my website, and there's a blog post on groups of them. So I think there's 4 blog posts about the various groups of documents. So, but the document, I've got one at the back, and if you run out, actually, there should be lots there. But yes, so on the Empowered Senior Speaker Series site, there's a section there that's called reports, I think. And so in that list, there's all kinds of handouts from all of our educational partners, but that's in there as well. Everybody's going to grab that.
So I am wondering if you guys have any advice for me. So I hear a lot of you, say that your children were very helpful. My mother is still in the home that she lived in with my stepfather, who passed away several years ago, and it's a lot for her to manage. So we're encouraging her to start thinking about downsizing, but she's really resistant. I'm not sure what the barriers are, but I just wondered if there's any advice for someone like me what I can do to support her when she's thinking about this transition.
Yeah, I think what one of my answers to that would be is not to think about what you're going to give up, but what you will gain. And we've seen it time and time again where people have left it, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, till it's too late, and then they either do not have the motivation, they've got health issues. So by being proactive in taking that, taking those steps, and we all know that they're not easy steps. And I know, as Marion said, the word crisis has been mentioned several times today, and that's part of it. Nobody wants to be in a situation where, okay, I'm forced to have to do something now. Maybe, as you said, made the wrong choice, or haven't really been apprised of all the options out there. So I think and I know that part's difficult. We have a family member that we're dealing with that too. So, but just having that motivation, I guess, and the desire to be up to the challenge while it's there, rather than, okay, that ship sailed kind of thing, and now it's just some major work for the kids or the rest of the family to facilitate that, especially in cases where a lot of people have been in their homes, as you say, many decades, and not been in the habit of editing and purging, so that's very difficult.
So I was in the same boat with my parents, and we all, my siblings and I all thought that it was time for them to move. Their health, they were both aging, well over 90. And no matter what we said or did, they weren't going anywhere, because they wanted to live independently, thought they could live independent, and until they realized on their own that it was time, nothing was happening, no matter how much we poked and prodded. And probably the same, maybe my mom or my dad, one of them wanted more so than the other one came along a little bit more reluctantly. But the more we pushed, or the more we encouraged, the worse it got. So it's, and I truly believe in, in looking back, everybody has the right to make decisions, good, bad, or otherwise, and if they're capable of making decisions, although we don't like them, it's their decision.
One thing I would encourage to and this would be for everyone who's considering downsizing at some point, or their kids are talking to them about it, is we all accumulate stuff, right? Everybody's sort of guilty of that, and it's easy just to continue to accumulate. So whether you're actually downsizing now or you're seriously thinking about it, it's easy to take pieces out of your house in small stages. Literally the same way I was talking about it. Look at a room, look at one cabinet, start with that. Maybe since your mother has already lost her spouse, she already dealt with a crisis, she knows, maybe that's a way to approach it on a, hey, because you don't want to have to do this all at one time, can we just start looking at your space? I also, in my home, model it, right? Am clearing some stuff out, because we all, spring cleaning always happens stuff. being just taken in small pieces and maybe encouraging that way might help make it easier as she starts to think about the things in her space and perhaps a new space maybe.
Do we have another question? Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to add on to that. One of the things that you can maybe do is put it in a way that it's more about legacy. So if you have items in your home that you know you want to go to your children, give them to them now.
Yes, yes.
Right? Watch them enjoy those things now. So that's gets it out of your house, gets it into theirs. But it's also, it gives you joy because you're seeing them enjoy the things that you've been saving for them, if that makes sense.
Definitely. You also find out what they don't want when you ask for it.
My wife passed away earlier this year, and we are going through the process. Do we need to downsize? What can we do? What about financing? What about the whole thing? And I have to tell you a story about my wife. When we were first married, 72 years ago, I looked after the family finances for the first month. After 3 weeks, we were out of money. So she took over from me. And she has handled the finances ever since then. My finance manager did a super job. You know how your bank gives you a statement of your current account? But never, unless you ask for it, your savings account. And I haven't seen our savings account with donkeys here. And I'm sitting there, you know, and I say, well, look at it, we got anything. So I asked for a savings account and nearly fell off my chair. She saved it for 70 odd years and did a fantastic job. So now we're in the sense of what do I want to do? And I think that I have to downsize. I own that house right through there, which is a 3.5 bedroom house, right on the lake shore. And I'm going through the process of looking, where can I live? And one of the processes is that my daughter here says, well, if you get something that if something happens to you, I can move into it. So what happens? It doesn't really happen after that passed away. And so now we're looking at various options, generally a 2-bedroom somewhere or other. And once we get that, then we'll sort it out. But you know, with the finances I have, I don't have to worry because I'll buy that and sell this. And I've already had an offer on this one. And I don't think there's any problem. The city want to buy it.
So that's a whole other conversation, a whole other session. Okay, actually, we're 5 to 3. I just would like, if you have any other questions, you can come and talk to our panelists individually. I'm happy to answer any questions after the session, as well as our educational partners. But I just wanted to wrap up. So on the table back there, and I've got some here, these are some of the documents that I have. I have a couple of guides. This one is just a short summary of tips on downsizing, but the second one is a 2-year timeline. So if it's something that you're thinking about in the longer term, it gives you a sort of a way to manage the process in an organized way and not become overwhelmed by it. If we've run out, I've got some here, but I also can send that out with the video replay, as well as I understand that 30 document has gone. Sorry.
It's all gone.
Yes, so I understand, hot off the press, they're gone. So I will send that out as an attachment or a link to it because it is on the website. There's also a guide, downsizing guide that I have to offer. I've got a couple copies here. Again, I can send it a digital copy or pick one up here. This I just want, when I mentioned earlier about senior care access, they are developing, expanding the website and the services that they have. So they're developing these sites that are community specific. So this one, it's retirementhomesburlington.ca is the website. And it just goes through and has a lot of, you can see here clearly, links to different types of housing options. As well, there's something about every community, so there's one for Burlington, one for Oakville, one for Hamilton. If the city isn't there that you're interested in, if it's not there now, it will be in the future because this is a work in progress. They also have a list of service providers in each community, and also a retirement home cost calculators. I know I'm sure the retirement homes have these types of tools at their resources at their disposal, but this is something that you can access online, and then you would just plug in the prices and the numbers that relate to you. And if you have costs for retirement home, you can put that in, and it'll come up with a bit of a budget for you. So we're just 2 seconds or 2 minutes to 3. I just wanted to thank my panelists once again. I really appreciate that you're sharing all of your secrets and your, yes.
I just like to say one thing, two of the most valuable items I took with me was my wagon and my shopping cart.
There you go, that was a good piece of advice. But thank you all again. Thanks for being here today. I hope you found it. The message here is it's not a negative thing. It can be liberating, as we talked about. Plan for the future, always here, always reminding you of that. And this is being recorded. It will be posted on the website probably in a week or 2. Thanks again to our educational partners. Be sure to take the time to speak with them. And next session is October the 8th. Actually, Kelly Compassion collaborators are presenting grief and bereavement support. So thank you all very much and have a safe day.